In the sprawling metropolis of Neo-San Francisco, where neon lights clashed with the stark darkness of night and skyscrapers reached ambitiously towards the stars, there lived a little alien known simply as Kip. Kip was unlike any other inhabitant of the city. His skin shimmered with an iridescent glow that reflected the myriad colors of the urban landscape, and his large, luminous eyes gave him a perpetual look of wonder and innocence. He was a Glistan, a species known for their stealth and agility, and he had found himself alone on the bustling streets of this alien world, far from his home planet of Glister. Kip survived by his wits and the kindness of occasional strangers. His days were spent scavenging for scraps of food and dodging the ever-watchful eyes of the city's enforcers. At night, he curled up in the narrow alleys, hidden beneath mounds of discarded digital components and broken dreams. But despite his predicament, Kip carried an air of mischievous charm, often managing to swipe a fruit from a distracted vendor or a shiny bauble from an open window to add to his collection of treasures. One evening, as Kip was rummaging through a heap of electronic waste in search of anything edible or valuable, the sound of heavy boots disrupted the usual cacophony of the city. He froze, his heart pounding in his chest. Peering out from behind a pile of discarded tech, Kip saw a figure approaching. A human, but not just any human. This was a member of the City Enforcement Division, known for their strict handling of law and order. The officer, whose name badge read Hawkins, was a towering figure, clad in a standard-issue uniform that did little to hide his muscular build. His face was stern, marked by years of service, and the stern resolve of someone who had seen too much of the city's underbelly. But his eyes, when they landed on the small, cowering figure of Kip, softened momentarily. "Hey there, little one. What are you doing out here all alone?" Officer Hawkins' voice was surprisingly gentle, a stark contrast to his intimidating appearance. Kip, unsure whether to flee or stay, remained motionless, his eyes wide and unblinking. The officer took a cautious step forward, crouching down to Kip's level. "I'm not going to hurt you. You look hungry. Are you hungry?" Hawkins asked, extending a hand with a piece of synthetic protein bar. The temptation was too great. Hunger overcame fear, and Kip slowly edged forward, his eyes locked on the food. With a swift motion, he grabbed the bar, retreating a few steps back to gauge the officer's reaction. "Smart and quick, aren't you?" Hawkins chuckled, his voice warm. "You can't stay out here on your own. It's too dangerous, and frankly, it's freezing tonight. How about you come with me? I'll make sure you have a warm place to sleep and more food. What do you say?" Kip's mind raced. The streets had been his home for as long as he could remember, but the promise of warmth and safety was alluring. After a moment's hesitation, he nodded slightly, still clutching the protein bar. "That's a good choice," Hawkins said with a smile, standing up. "Let's get you out of here." As they walked through the neon-lit streets, Kip couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and apprehension. This human, this officer, had offered him something no one else had: hope. Perhaps this was the beginning of a new life. A life where he could be more than just a little alien thief. Maybe, just maybe, he had found someone who could give him purpose and a home. As the neon glow of the city faded behind them, Officer Hawkins led Kip to a hover vehicle parked discreetly in the shadows. The doors hissed open, and Kip hesitated at the threshold, his eyes scanning the interior. It was unlike any vehicle he had seen, lined with equipment and screens emitting soft, pulsing lights. Hawkins noticed Kip's apprehension and offered a reassuring nod. "It's just a ride, nothing to worry about," he said, ushering Kip inside before sliding into the driver's seat. The vehicle lifted smoothly, soaring above the cityscape. Kip pressed his face against the cool glass, mesmerized by the sprawling lights below. Neo-San Francisco was a different beast from above, less threatening and more wondrous. Hawkins watched Kip's reflection in the window, a smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "You've never seen the city from up here, have you?" Kip shook his head, his attention fixed on the view. "It's beautiful," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. Hawkins nodded. "It can be. It can also be pretty tough, especially for someone so small." His tone was contemplative, as if weighing his next words carefully. You know, I've been on the force for over a decade. I've seen things that are hard to forget, but also things that give me hope. Meeting you tonight, I think it might be one of those hopeful moments. The hover vehicle began its descent, landing on the rooftop of a large building adorned with the emblem of the City Enforcement Division. They disembarked, and Hawkins led Kip through a series of secure doors into a facility buzzing with activity. Officers and robots moved about, each engaged in their tasks, but many paused to glance curiously at Kip. Hawkins brought Kip to a small room furnished with basic amenities: a bed, a desk, and a small wash area. You'll stay here for now, he explained. It's safe, and you'll have everything you need. Kip wandered around the room, touching the strange, smooth surfaces and trying out the chair. He sat down, bouncing slightly on the cushion. The room felt alien, yet the promise of safety was a comfort he hadn't known in ages. Later, Hawkins returned with clothes, a simple outfit far more suitable than the tattered rags Kip wore. Here, these should fit you better. And I brought you something else. From behind his back, Hawkins produced a small, spherical device. This is a translator. It'll help you understand and speak our language more fluently. Kip clipped the device to his ear, and immediately the garbled sounds of the station transformed into clear, comprehensible speech. His eyes widened in astonishment. Thank you, he said, testing the new words that flowed effortlessly. You're welcome, Hawkins replied, his voice softening. Tomorrow, we'll need to talk about what comes next for you. But for now, rest. You've had a long day. As Hawkins left, Kip lay on the bed, the soft hum of the station lulling him towards sleep. His mind was full of questions about what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, he felt a flicker of excitement about the possibilities. Maybe, in this strange new world, there was a place for him after all. The next morning brought a crisp clarity to the air within the enforcement station, and Kip woke to the low buzz of activity echoing through the walls. He dressed quickly in the clothes provided by Hawkins, feeling a sense of novelty in the clean fabric that hugged his body comfortably. When he stepped out of his room, he found Hawkins waiting with a small smile. Good morning, Kip. Did you sleep well? Hawkins asked as he led the way to the cafeteria. Kip nodded, still slightly overwhelmed by the scale of human kindness and organization. The cafeteria was bustling with officers and staff, all partaking in their morning rituals of coffee and conversation. Hawkins guided Kip to a quieter corner where they could talk undisturbed. Today we're going to figure out what's best for you. There are programs for non-human entities under city protection. You could learn, maybe work, depending on what you're interested in, Hawkins explained, pouring them both a steaming drink from a large dispenser. Kip sipped cautiously, surprised by the warmth and bitterness of the coffee. I want to learn. I want to do more than just survive, he responded earnestly. Hawkins nodded approvingly. That's a good start. I was thinking, given your natural agility and stealth, you might be interested in some form of scout training. We could use someone with your skills for recon missions, especially in areas where it's too dangerous for regular patrols. Intrigued and flattered by the suggestion, Kip leaned forward. I can do that. I can help. Their conversation was interrupted by an alert on Hawkins's communicator. A pulsing red light accompanied by a sharp beep. Duty calls, he said, standing abruptly. Look, I have to handle this, but why don't you take the day to explore the facility? Get to know the place. We'll meet here for lunch and you can tell me what you think about the scout idea. Kip spent the morning wandering through the vast hallways of the station, marveling at the technology and organization. Everyone he encountered treated him with a curious respect, likely influenced by Hawkins's apparent endorsement. He watched from balconies as training simulations were conducted, saw the medical units attending to minor injuries, and observed the coordination it took to maintain peace in such a sprawling metropolis. By the time he returned to the cafeteria, his mind was ablaze with possibilities. He could contribute here. He could make a difference. When Hawkins finally joined him, looking slightly weary from his duties, Kip was bursting with questions. How can I start the training? What do I need to do? Kip asked, his enthusiasm palpable. Hawkins laughed, the sound rich and warm. Eager, aren't you? Well, you'll need to be officially registered under the Non-Human Residency Act first. Then there's a basic training program, tailored, of course, to your abilities and needs. You'll learn about laws, enforcement protocols, and physical training. How does that sound? Perfect, Kip replied, his eyes gleaming with determination. When do we start? Soon, Hawkins promised, his expression turning serious. But remember, it's not just about what you can do for us. It's about building a life for yourself here, learning to coexist with humans and other species. It's about finding your place in a world far from home. Kip nodded, understanding the weight of his decision. He was no longer a mere survivor or a thief. He was on the path to becoming a guardian of the city that had given him a second chance. This realization filled him with a profound sense of purpose, and for the first time, he truly felt a part of something greater. Kip's integration into the enforcement program was swift. His registration under the Non-Human Residency Act was facilitated by Hawkins, who seemed to have a vested interest in Kip's success. Within days, Kip was enrolled in the basic training program, tailored specifically to harness his unique skills while introducing him to the human-centric laws and cultural nuances of Neo-San Francisco. The training facility was a vast complex equipped with the latest in simulation technology and physical training equipment. Kip's days were filled with rigorous exercises that tested his physical limits and challenging classes that expanded his understanding of human society. He was quick to learn, absorbing information with a fervor that impressed his instructors and peers alike. One of the more intriguing aspects of his training involved virtual reality simulations. These sessions were designed to mimic real-life scenarios, from high-intensity conflict resolutions to stealth reconnaissance missions. Kip excelled in stealth, using his natural agility and quick thinking to navigate complex environments undetected. His ability to move silently through simulated urban landscapes and avoid detection by sensors and drones quickly earned him recognition among the trainers. However, physical prowess was only part of the equation. Kip struggled initially with the more theoretical components of the program, particularly the laws that governed the interactions between different species and the ethical protocols of enforcement. The concept of justice was vastly different on Glister, his home planet, where community consensus often resolved conflicts. His mentor, a seasoned officer named Marquez, took a special interest in helping him bridge these gaps. Marquez was a patient teacher, using real-life case studies to illustrate the nuances of law and the importance of upholding justice in a multi-species society. Remember, Kip, the goal isn't just to enforce the law, but to understand its spirit, Marquez would often say during their sessions. It's about fairness, about ensuring that all beings, regardless of their origin, are treated with respect and dignity. These lessons resonated with Kip, who began to see his role as not just a protector but as a mediator between the law and those who lived under its rule. His perspective was further broadened by interactions with fellow trainees, a diverse group that included humans and several other alien species. Through shared experiences and discussions, Kip learned about the complex interplay of culture, emotion, and duty that defined the life of an enforcement officer. As weeks turned into months, Kip transformed. He grew stronger, not just physically but intellectually and emotionally. He found a sense of belonging among his peers, a camaraderie that transcended species and origin. He participated in team-based missions, learning to coordinate with others to achieve common goals, and his confidence soared with each successful simulation. One afternoon, following a particularly challenging training session, Hawkins approached Kip with a smile. "You've come a long way, Kip. I've been reviewing your progress and it's impressive. How do you feel about joining an actual patrol soon? Think you're ready to apply what you've learned?" Kip's eyes lit up with excitement and a trace of nervousness. "I think I am ready. I want to help. I want to make sure no one else has to feel as lost as I did when I first arrived here." Hawkins clapped him on the back, his approval evident. "That's what I hoped you'd say. Let's plan for it. It's time to see what you can do out there, in the real world." The prospect of real-world application of his training was thrilling. Kip knew it would be challenging, but he felt prepared, armed with knowledge, skills, and a newfound understanding of his role in this vast, complex city. His transition from a streetwise alien thief to a guardian of peace was nearly complete, but the true test of his abilities and convictions was yet to come. The day of Kip's first real patrol arrived. The morning was brisk, the sky a pale canvas above the towering spires of Neo-San Francisco. He donned his new uniform, its fabric tough yet flexible, designed to accommodate his unique physiology and movements. As he attached the badge to his chest, a symbol of his new role and responsibilities, he felt a surge of pride and a pang of anxiety. Hawkins was waiting for him at the patrol vehicle, a sleek model equipped with advanced navigation and surveillance systems. "Ready to take the leap?" Hawkins asked, his tone both encouraging and serious. Kip nodded, his large eyes reflecting determination. "Ready." Their route was planned through one of the more challenging sectors of the city, an area known for its bustling markets and diverse population. It was a place where many species mingled and disputes were common. For a rookie, it was a trial by fire. But Hawkins believed in immersion. The best way to learn was to dive in. As they cruised through the sector, Hawkins pointed out various landmarks and hotspots, explaining typical issues they might face, from smuggling to petty theft. Kip listened intently, absorbing every detail. The vehicle's console beeped intermittently, pulling in data from surveillance drones and street sensors. Suddenly, a call came through, a dispute at a nearby market stall over a transaction gone wrong. Hawkins directed Kip to handle it, watching closely as Kip approached the scene. The stall was crowded, two individuals heatedly arguing in the midst of a small crowd. One was a towering Ixen, his scales a shimmering blue, the other a smaller, wiry human woman. Both were gesturing wildly, voices raised. Kip intervened smoothly, his tone firm yet polite. "What seems to be the problem here?" The Ixen turned to him, eyes narrowing. "This human cheated me, promised quality goods, but this junk is useless." The human retorted, "No refunds, that was the deal. You knew it." Kip glanced at the items in question, then back at the disputants. "Let's calm down and discuss this. Maybe there's a solution that doesn't leave anyone at a loss." He listened to each side, then proposed a compromise, a partial refund in exchange for the return of the goods. After some negotiation, both parties begrudgingly agreed. Kip's calm demeanor and fair-minded approach diffused the situation, and as the crowd dispersed, Hawkins nodded in approval. "That was well handled," he commented as they returned to the patrol vehicle. "Keeping your cool in situations like that is crucial." Kip felt a swell of confidence. It feels good to resolve things peacefully. The rest of the patrol passed without major incident, but the real test came towards the end of their shift. An alert notified them of a potential theft in progress in a high-tech gadget shop. They arrived just in time to see a suspect fleeing with stolen items. Without hesitation, Kip took off after the thief, his body moving with swift, fluid motions honed by months of training. He navigated the crowded streets with ease, his eyes locked on the fleeing figure. As he gained on the thief, he prepared to make a non-violent takedown. Just as the thief glanced back, Kip reached him, executing a maneuver that gently yet effectively brought them both to the ground. The stolen goods clattered beside them unharmed. Kip held the thief until Hawkins caught up, a mix of adrenaline and satisfaction coursing through him. As they secured the thief and recovered the goods, Hawkins clapped Kip on the shoulder. "Looks like you're not just ready, you're a natural." Kip smiled, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment and belonging. His first day on patrol had not only tested his abilities, but had affirmed his purpose in this new world, a guardian, a mediator, and a symbol of peace. As they headed back to the station, the city lights flickered on, casting long shadows and bathing the streets in a hopeful glow. As Kip's initial day on patrol drew to a close, the city of Neo-San Francisco took on a serene quality under the evening sky, its myriad problems momentarily veiled by the peaceful twilight. Sitting beside Hawkins in the quiet hum of the patrol vehicle, Kip's thoughts wandered through the day's events. Each interaction, each decision he had made felt like a building block in the foundation of his new life. "You did good today," Hawkins said, his voice breaking into Kip's reverie. "Not just in handling the situations, but in understanding the gravity of what it means to wear that uniform." Kip nodded, feeling the weight of his badge, a weight that came not just from authority, but from the responsibility to wield that authority justly. "I think I understand what you meant about learning the spirit of the law," he replied thoughtfully. Hawkins smiled. "It's a continuous journey, Kip. Every day out here teaches you something new about the law, about others, and most importantly, about yourself." As they parked back at the station, Kip's attention was caught by the bustle of the night shift preparing to start their rounds. It struck him then how this city never truly slept. It was a living entity that depended on its guardians to maintain its rhythm and harmony. The next weeks were a whirlwind of activity. Kip's confidence grew with each patrol, and his reputation as a fair and effective officer began to solidify. He encountered a myriad of situations, from high-stakes negotiations between conflicting alien traders to tracking down elusive cybercriminals using his adept understanding of the city's digital underbelly. One particularly challenging case involved a smuggling ring that had been eluding the city enforcement for months. Kip, with his unique perspective and relentless determination, played a pivotal role in their capture. It was during this case that he fully grasped how his abilities could contribute to something bigger than himself. After the successful resolution of the case, Kip and Hawkins stood overlooking the city from the rooftop of the enforcement building. The skyline was a tapestry of light and shadow, each building a testament to the complexity and dynamism of Neo-San Francisco. "You've made quite an impact, Kip," Hawkins remarked, his gaze sweeping the horizon, "not just in fighting crime, but in showing that unity and understanding between species is possible." Kip looked at the sprawling city below, his thoughts turning to his own journey, from a frightened lone alien to a respected officer. "I've learned a lot about humans, and about how we all aren't that different when it comes to wanting peace and security." "That's right," Hawkins agreed, "and sometimes it takes someone from the outside to remind us of what we all share." As they returned to the ground floor, they were met with the news of a new mission, one that required delicate handling and a deep understanding of interspecies relations. Kip was assigned the lead role, a testament to his rapid growth and the trust he had earned. As he prepared for this new challenge, Kip felt a profound connection to his adopted city and its inhabitants. He realized that he had not only found a home, but had become integral to its fabric. His story, once defined by survival and solitude, was now a narrative of service and community. Kip turned to Hawkins, ready to discuss the mission details. His heart was steady, his mind clear. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew he faced them not as a little alien thief, but as a guardian of his new world, a protector of its peace, and a defender of its diverse and vibrant community.